If a player travels approximately 15 metres without bouncing the ball, that is too far! It's a free kick to the opposition. Go get him, Scotty. And here she is. She's found some space. She loves to walk this one. She goes, she goes, she goes. She's looking for somebody. Oh, she's gone too far! She's forgot to bounce the ball. Free kick.
Hey!
Oh, AFL is everywhere. Well, you don't know. We can find. Why don't you come with me, little girl? A magic carpet ride. Well, you don't know. We can find. Why don't you come with me, little girl? Magic carpet ride.
Ten's Late News with Natarsha Belling.
Tonight, a dramatic end to Rivkin's first day in jail, rushed to hospital after collapsing in his cell. Party faithful applaud Prime Minister Howard as Simon Crean and Kim Beazley join battle for Labor leadership. And hot and dusty work as hundreds face the challenge of the Fink Desert Race. Good evening. First tonight, a dramatic end to Rivkin's first day in jail. He was rushed to hospital after collapsing in his cell as prison officers questioned him about a mobile phone believed to have been smuggled into the facility. Tonight, an ambulance took him to an unknown destination.
It was not the expected jail release for Rivkin, an ambulance transfer after spending the day in a Sydney hospital. The urgent treatment required when the celebrity inmate collapsed in his cell unconscious. The episode witnessed by prison staff who had been conducting a search of all inmates' quarters for a mobile phone that had been smuggled in. The phone was used to take photographs of Mr Rivkin's first day, which were later published in a weekend tabloid.
And when he was approached to be searched, he collapsed to the floor and immediate attention was sought, with a nurse arriving within 20 seconds and paramedics arriving shortly after that.
Concerned family and friends gathered to see him at nearby Auburn Hospital, where he's been reported to be in a stable condition. His poor health a dramatic switch from the positive image he projected when he arrived at Silverwater. How are you feeling this morning?
Very happy.
Throughout his trial, Mr Rivkin remained the picture of confidence no matter how badly the day's argument had gone. But it seems jail has been the last straw that not even Prozac could overcome. Mr Rivkin's lawyers had argued at a bail hearing last week their client's depressive illness would be further strained by incarceration, but the judge did not accept the impact would be significant. Amber Muir, 10 News.
Wannabe Labor leaders Simon Crean and Kim Beazley are going for the jugular. The ALP showdown is turning nasty as the contenders battle it out on the airwaves.
This is what it's all about. Who can best beat an ascendant John Howard? Kim Beazley says it's certainly not Simon Crean.
Now, for 18 months, Simon's had a chance to put in place a capacity to do that, and we just have not succeeded.
He says 18 months is a fair go. Well, what was 6 years? That's my point. There were 6 years in which he had the opportunity to connect with the Australian people on these policies.
Mr Beazley accuses Mr Crean of keeping secret national polling by the party, which confirms the disastrous results of New South Wales data. But Crean supporter Craig Emerson says the published news poll shows Simon is on track.
From the budget reply of 3 weeks ago, there has been an 8-point turnaround in the polls for Labor.
And the Tampa sailed into the argument, Mr Crean distancing himself from Mr Beazley's last election strategy.
I did argue against the small target policy, and I argued very much in terms of the Tampa situation.
I can't recollect him doing that at any point in time.
In a show of the new Beazley brinkmanship, he firmed up his pledge today to mount only one challenge, warning his colleagues to take him seriously. Simon Crean, for one, says he believes him. At the Liberal convention, the drama was lampooned as bad reality TV.
Who do you think should be voted out of the ALP Big Brother household? If we had our way, it'd be all of them.
Paul Bongiorno, 10 News.
In stark contrast, a rapturous welcome for the Prime Minister, the Liberal Party standing as one, as John Howard outlined his plan to reform the Senate.
A triumphant entrance for John and Jeanette Howard at the Liberal Party's National Convention. After being voted in by Australians 3 elections running, Mr Howard used his keynote speech to announce he's had enough of the Senate.
Tragically for Australia, the Australian Senate in recent years has become a house of obstruction.
Since beating Labor in 1996, the Senate has constantly blocked key changes in controversial areas such as workplace relations. To overcome this, the Prime Minister's proposing the most dramatic change to Parliament since Federation, although he's downplaying it.
We have to find a way which is moderate and non-threatening to resolve the deadlocks that we are facing.
Mr Howard wants the government to be allowed to combine its numbers in both houses to force changes through. As it stands, the Prime Minister can only resolve deadlocks by calling a full election of both houses of Parliament, which is expensive and wouldn't guarantee him the result he wants. Not surprisingly, Senate members are highly unimpressed by Mr Howard's proposal.
I think John Howard's been in power too long and he's wanting absolute power, and it's a real sign that he's just not wanting any opposition.
If Australians buy the idea, it would be put to a referendum at the same time as the next election. Brad Burke, 10 News.
And Prime Minister Howard has avoided the family of Adelaide man David Hicks, who's being held in Cuba accused of being a Taliban fighter. A protest outside the National Liberal Convention in Adelaide accusing the government of denying him human rights.
Watched by police, a small band of demonstrators voiced their views to the gathering Liberal hierarchy.
You wouldn't like your child left like that.
Hicks has been languishing in a special military prison at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, for a year and a half, accused of being a Taliban fighter and Al-Qaeda suspect. His father, Terry, says the steel cage is a copy of the cell his son is confined to.
Well, we're trying to get a message across to Mr Howard that this is the conditions that David lives under and get him back here.
Hicks is being held without charge. The government has consistently refused to talk to members of his family, claiming the Adelaide man's activities in Afghanistan are still being investigated.
We have come to them to bring the message that abuses of human rights should not be tolerated.
In the past, the government has rejected suggestions the Americans want to hand him over to Australia. Terry Hicks insists his son is not a security threat.
The letters we received from David that he's homesick and would like to get home.
Rick Teague, 10 News.
A security crackdown for the first State of Origin Rugby League game in Brisbane on Wednesday. Footy fans are being warned to behave or risk being booted out.
There's never any love lost between New South Wales and Queensland supporters when it comes to State of Origin.
It's a very emotionally charged night. Certainly always has been and always will be.
But come kick-off in Brisbane on Wednesday night, Cockroach and Cane Toad fans are being warned to be on their best behaviour.
Anyone that wants to ruin the night for anyone else, unfortunately, just won't be enjoying the rest of the game.
Stadium organisers won't reveal the number of police and private security officers on duty, but say there's more than ever before. Part of their job will be to protect King Wally from southerners looking to leave their mark.
Appropriate security measures will be in place for that.
And while there was some concern the turf wouldn't recover from last week's game between the Broncos and Newcastle, stadium organisers say both Origin teams have inspected the ground and believe it's near perfect.
Certainly the New South Wales and Queensland camps have expressed absolutely no concern about the turf.
Fans are being urged to take public transport to the ground. Chloe Baker, 10 News.
Stay with us. Still ahead in tonight's late news, tough penalties for misusing full body scans. New research says idleness leads children into crime, sex and drugs. And later, gales and blizzards arrive just in time for the opening of the ski season.
Dee thinks he's Mr. Perfect. It just feels right. But this doctor has more than a few skeletons in his closet.
Is he having any financial troubles?
What's he hiding?
You can't change your past.
Find out when Neighbours returns, 6:30 weeknights.
Live at back. with this year's defining rock album, Birds of Prey. Featuring the single Heaven. Live, Birds of Prey, out now.
Hi, come on in.
This is amazing. Can't believe how close it is to Katie's school.
It's close to everything. Minutes to the city. Beach is just a stone's throw away. I love it. Even the office is nearby.
Yeah, and so is Mum's place.
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
Live are back with this year's defining rock album, Birds of Prey. Featuring the single Heaven. Live, Birds of Prey, out now.
To slow speeding drivers down, there are now more police, more speed cameras, and more radars than ever before. Because last year, speeding resulted in 24 fatalities and over 290 injuries in the Central West alone. So please, slow yourself down before we have to.
Come see KC, come see KC.
Come see KC for workwear, safety wear, school wear, sports gear, embroidery, screen printing and trophies. KC Print Shop, 101 Talbragar Street, Dubbo.
The skiing, boarding and party season is here again. But where do you go? Where do you stay? Where do you play? Contact Alpine World Travel. The team at Alpine World Travel are a committed professional group of skiing and boarding enthusiasts. They know snow. Alpine World Travel offers excellent value. Learn to ski and board packages for first-timers and great Super Saver discounts on accommodation and lift passes. Call Alpine World Travel on 1300 138 311 or go to alpineworld.com.au. Alpine World Travel. They've got the mountains covered.
You're watching 10's Late News. New South Wales doctors now face up to 2 years jail and heavy fines if they don't tell patients the greater cancer risks they face from the popular medical procedure full-body CT scan.
Dubbed the Yuppie Scam, a full-body reading in a CT machine can set you back $900 at a privately run centre. It promises to find things other tests can't, but there is a risk.
Our auditors went out and took measurements of the amount of radiation being given to patients in full-body scans, and what they showed is that the doses are very high. They're up to 500 times the dose you would get with a normal chest X-ray.
The EPA says that means 8 out of every 10,000 people will develop cancer because they had a scan. From today in New South Wales, a patient must have a doctor's approval and be told of the high risk of cancer before having a scan. Failure to meet those terms will result in up to 2 years jail or heavy fines.
The penalties are about $27,000 for an individual and up to $165,000 for a company. So they're immediate, no one's above the law.
Groups including Vic Health and the National College of Radiologists are backing the crackdown.
And the problem here we have is that you've got a large number of people being put through the system for only a very small number who actually benefit.
But those promoting the scan are angry at the government's attack.
Using the radiation issue as a hysterical mechanism to frighten people away from these scans.
He also denies high-pressure sales tactics are used. Other forms of CT scans are common in hospitals nationwide. Their use is not being questioned. Kevin Wild, 10 News.
2 young men were killed in a shocking crash in Perth's western suburbs overnight. Police say their vehicle mounted a median strip and slammed head-on into a tree, splitting the vehicle in two. The driver died almost instantly. His front passenger, thrown from the car, died soon after. Another man and woman trapped in the back seat were cut free and taken to hospital with serious injuries. All were aged in their 20s. In Melbourne, the 32-year-old driver of a Land Cruiser died after he was thrown from his vehicle when it crashed in the eastern suburbs. The force of the crash ripping the tray from the utility. Police believe the four-wheel drive clipped another vehicle before jumping the median strip, the driver of the Commodore escaping uninjured. And Sydney police opened fire on a car that allegedly tried to run them down. 3 officers firing a number of shots at the sedan after it accelerated towards a roadblock. The driver losing control and crashing before trying to flee on foot. The 30-year-old suspect was arrested a short time later. A police constable was treated for minor injuries after the incident. Sport could be the key to keeping teenagers from sex, drugs and alcohol. The latest research says idle children are most likely to indulge in risky behaviour.
Binge drinking, drug abuse and depression among teenagers is at epidemic proportions. Karen Woods was one of the casualties, going through 30 foster homes in 13 years. With no sense of belonging, she fell in with the wrong crowd.
We used drugs, we stole things, we harassed people.
A new study says her risk-taking behaviour is common among teenagers who don't belong to a sporting or social club. Among the key findings, just 1 in 10 girls who participated in sport engaged in sex, while with inactive girls, the figure was 1 in 3. Idle boys, meanwhile, were 40% more likely to binge drink. Generally, inactive teenagers also had lower self-esteem and were more likely to use marijuana and commit crime. Karen's life turning around when she attended an adventure camp.
It's a basic human need. If you belong and people care for you, you have a sense of self-worth. It really enhances your self-esteem.
What we've now got to look at is how do we get the kid that's got virtually no access to sport or other cultural activities, how do we make sure they get an opportunity to have a go?
Kelly Morgan, 10 News.
Still ahead in 10's late news, more clouds over the Middle East roadmap to peace. Also, rough, tough and ready. Hundreds of drivers and riders racing through the Outback. Then in sports tonight, West Coast's thrilling after the siren draw with the Bulldogs.
Hyundai's massive end of financial year GST sale means you can save thousands. Now that's a powerful reason to get into your nearest Hyundai dealer and check out the V6 range.
That kids could stay free and learn to ski with some of our awesome family holiday packages. Do what you want to do. Have a ball with your family. Call 1300 655 811 now.
Here's a tip-top tip for a late-night snack. A ham and pineapple muffin melt. A tasty way to get rid of the munchies.
Live are back with this year's defining rock album, Birds of Prey. Featuring the single Heaven. Live, Birds of Prey, out now.
Shop Smart Outlets at a Jeans Bargain Bonanza. Jeans West, 2 pairs of jeans and 2 tops, only $60. Westco, buy 1 item, get 1 free. Trader Vic's brand name denim from just $40. This long weekend only. Shop Smart Outlets at Luxford Road, Mount Druitt, corner of Zoe Place.
Surf Excess. More winter stock. More styles. And more gear. Want some more? Get into Surf Excess. Around a mall Dubbo.
You can ski, board, eat, party, relax and choose between on-snow or Jindabyne accommodation. To do what you want to do, call Perishabaloo Snow Holidays 1300 655 811 now.
The Hyundai V6 Terracon, a big 7-seat 4-wheel drive with the works. Move now and you'll save thousands, but only until June 30. The Hyundai V6 Terracon, unbelievable value.
In a new blow to the Middle East roadmap to peace, Palestinian gunmen have opened fire on the Maiden border crossing between Gaza and Israel, killing 4 Israelis. Israeli security forces returned the fire, killing all 3 gunmen. Several radical Islamic groups have claimed responsibility. Authorities fear it may be the first in a wave of attacks after 5 militant organisations vowed to continue suicide bombings against Israel. The groups, including Hamas and Fatah, met in Gaza City and unanimously rejected the roadmap for peace. 4 German peacekeepers have been killed and another 29 injured in a suicide bomb attack in Afghanistan. In what authorities believe was an Al-Qaeda planned attack, a taxi laden with explosives drove into a bus carrying the soldiers.
Alarm on the streets of Kabul moments after the attack.
We're looking for an ambulance down the road. Right, yeah, try and get in front. Right,
British peacekeepers desperately clear the road to make way for emergency vehicles. The deliberate attack on a bus carrying German peacekeepers, the work of a suspected suicide bomber. The attacker drove a taxi loaded with explosives into the bus. The peacekeepers had just left their camp for the airport. They were on their way home after 6 months protecting the city. The blast was so great it lifted and threw their bus from the road.
The investigations have started and are going on in close cooperation with the Afghan authorities.
The international forces were shaken by the attack, preventing even senior Afghan officials from reaching the scene. But the Afghans already suspect who is responsible. He says the enemies of the country, perhaps Al-Qaeda or Hekmatyar, a renegade warlord. In fact, there's no shortage of suspects, with anti-government forces calling on Afghans to attack any foreigners. It's a devastating development for the peacekeepers and a shock for the Afghan President Hamid Karzai. He's only just back from an upbeat visit to Britain, where he said the renegade forces in Afghanistan are all but finished. It seems he spoke too soon.
The latest mission to Mars blasts off from the US shortly as NASA sends the first of 2 new high-tech robotic explorers to the Red Planet. It's part of the latest bid to determine whether there is or has been life on Mars.
The final checks on the Mars exploration rovers, or MERS. The first will be launched from Cape Canaveral tomorrow, the second in 2.5 weeks. After a 460 million kilometre journey, the 2 rovers are expected to land in January. Parachutes and airbags will cushion their arrival on opposite sides of the Red Planet.
This is an extremely complex mission, and a lot of us on the team can compare it to Sojourner.
The MERS are bigger and more powerful versions of the 1997 Sojourner, the first robotic explorer to capture panoramic colour pictures of Mars. These new rovers should be able to travel further and get better information, and they'll be commanded by scientists on Earth. Mars only gets close enough for this kind of communication every 26 months.
And this happens to be a particularly good opportunity where we're close enough and the geometry works out that we have an excellent data return.
Only 12 out of 30 attempts to land on Mars have been successful. After a 1999 attempt was botched by human error, NASA tripled the budget on this project to $800 million US.
Anything humanly possible has been done. So after that we are at the mercy of the Red Planet.
In the United States, Rani Sadler, 10 News.
Now, they say winning isn't everything, and 400 competitors in the Fink Desert Race are just proving that. In fact, winning is actually the furthest thing from their mind.
Fink is no ordinary motor race. It's Australia's premier off-road racing event, where winning is secondary and surviving the desert track is everything.
Oh, it's tough. I've never seen nothing like it, yeah.
It's a gruelling race of 460 kilometres. The dirt, dust and spin effects testing even the most experienced drivers. Some competitors spend up to 12 months preparing to take on the Fink Challenge.
We've been doing a lot of running, a bit of exercise, doing a fair bit of work on the bike yesterday.
At the end of the day, winning comes down to whoever can beat the dust.
I'll try and get in front at the very start because the dust is going to be so horrendous.
In its 28th year, Fink has become a battle between the bikes and cars for the coveted King of the Desert title. The cars only ever beating the bikes twice. At the end of day one, it's still anyone's race.
And the bikes are going to flog the cars, mate. Yeah, it's hard to say, but I think cars are going to do pretty well this year. It's really, really bad down there.
It's not just competitors struggling against the desert. 15,000 spectators are camped out trackside. Overnight, even the toughest among them struggling against temperatures of 0 degrees. Being a Fink supporter is serious business and means getting up close and personal. Camps equipped with everything from generators to personal quads. The second half of the race will be completed tomorrow. Bethany Jensen, 10 News.
Stay with us. All the weather details are next right here on Network 10, and then it's time for Sports Tonight with Ryan Phelan.
Thanks, Natasha. Coming up, a State of Origin boost for the Blues, the V8s from WA, Justine Henin-Ardennes French Open victory, and the Bunnies back in the NRL Winners' Circle.
When I talked to Coles about being in their ads, I made a shopping list of all the things people want from a supermarket. And then I went shopping.
4:30 every day.
Find those two things, it goes pink in the detergent.
How many products does Coles stock in, Murray? Have a look.
Now, what we look at is colour, the flavour, the aroma. Try it.
Really good. And the question you're probably asking, yeah, but will I save time and money?
See you again, Lisa?
Yeah, you will.
Gee, Bob's hard at work. Must be doing something serious to the car.
You too could do something serious with an air impact Grimjaw spray gun, just $39.99 each. This direct drive compressor, just $169. An air toolkit or air inhaler kit, just $139 each. A 20-metre air hose, just $39.99. Or this belt drive number for just $569.
I love that noise.
Where my baby. Enjoy the ride in a new Kia Rio with air, CD, power steering and central locking all included. The new 5-door Kia Rio, now only $14,990 drive away.
A Grand Slam in the UK. A Grand Slam in France. A Grand Slam in Australia. The new fully equipped Sorrento 4-wheel drive at just $37,950. It's another Grand Slam brought to you by Kia.
Are you sick of waiting 2 weeks for your mower repair? At Dubbo Mower World, we'll fix it in a week or less, be it Still or any other brand. See me at Dubbo Mower World, 146 Darling Street, Dubbo, or Narromine Mower Sales and Service. Satisfaction guaranteed.
You'll save every day at Coles. On Pantene shampoo or conditioner 400ml, $6.88 each, save $1.90. And Navel oranges, great value at only 98 cents a kilo. It costs less to shop at Coles.
Now for a look at the weather details around the nation, with a satellite showing mostly clear skies across the country with just some patchy low cloud lingering around Victoria and Tasmania, and high cloud is moving into the west. On the synoptic chart, a strengthening high in the east is dominating the country and should maintain the clear skies as a cold front nears the southwest. So tomorrow should be a bit wet and windy in Cairns, mostly sunny in Townsville, cloudy around Brisbane, sunny in Sydney, Canberra and Hobart, clearing showers for Melbourne, mainly sunny in Adelaide, late showers expected for Perth, and fine for the top end and the centre. And talking about the weather, ski buffs haven't been able to complain about the conditions all across the Australian ski fields. Snowstorms have blanketed our top resorts in the white, fluffy stuff.
It's the weekend of just one question. Will it or won't it? It did. Snow, fresh and glorious, and right on time. Mother Nature made it a date, and everyone's second favourite mum provided 50 centimetres of snow as thousands flocked to the Australian resorts. And they did it safely. Operation Snow Safe, a success. Down here, everyone wants to be noticed, and the police are no different. Launching 3 new vehicles you'd have to be snowblind to miss. Colourful? Yeah, that's a good word to describe the ski season opening, but the one that really counts is white, and there was plenty of it. And after the threat of devastating bushfires through summer, Kosciuszko was once again king. And down here, the phones haven't stopped ringing. Resorts across Victoria and New South Wales, well, bookings are up by more than 30%. It's the best opening since 2000, and the long-range forecast, the good news keeps coming. It's all white and all right. Opening weekend is all about the here and now, the powder and the party, and the Australian resorts have always known where the bar is. Just 2 requirements, skis and dancing shoes. Record crowds, lucky it's a long weekend because they're going to need Monday off. Buskers, bands, blizzards, and blessings. A celebration of all things winter and white. The opening of season 2003. Some struggled, but a snow job if ever there was one. In Thredbo, on a long weekend, this is Tim Bailey, 10 News.
And that is the latest from the 10 Newsroom. I'll be back with our next national bulletin at 11:30 in the morning. But stay with us now for all the action in sports tonight with Ryan Phelan. I'm Natarsha Belling. Thanks again for your company and I'll see you soon. Good night.